Hello and good morning, everyone. Only Positivity here. I have my coffee here with me, ready to kick off this new podcast series that I've really been working on. I'm really excited about it. So, just a quick precursor. I've been pursuing knowledge over the past 3, 4 years, and I'm no connoisseur or guru or anything like that. But it's been a whole new world for me. I've been reading a lot, and just trying to self-observe and reflect on life as I go forward. And I just want to share some of those thoughts with you guys. Hopefully, one day I can bring some other people on the podcast. But for now, it'll just be me going through some of my experiences, some of the things I've been reading, and some of my ideas and whatnot. So, today's topic is really going to be about a book that I've read over the past year, and it's called The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And I'll go over the first chapter with you guys. Essentially, what I do as I read is I go through the book and I highlight phrases and points that really resonated with me. And then, so at the end of the chapter, I just go back and read everything that I highlighted and essentially just reflect on what that meant to me. So, a little further precursor. The Four Agreements is a philosophical book that really describes the four agreements that one should make with themselves to live a happy life. But today, I'm going to talk about the first agreement that Don Miguel Ruiz goes into, which is being impeccable with your word. So, before anything, Don Miguel Ruiz states that this is the most important agreement, and this is the first that one should really go forward and implement in their lives. So, one thing that he states initially that I highlighted was your word is your power to create, but also your power to destroy. So at a high level, he uses the example of Hitler, right? Hitler, through his word, through his charisma, was able to convince hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people, to pretty much commit genocide, right? He was able to get into the minds of people and really into their unconscious actions and get them to do things that were horrific, right? And but like bringing that back to me, right? I always reflect on my relationship with my parents. And my parents were immigrants. My dad came from Africa. My mom came from India. My dad's Indian. And they came to this country with absolutely nothing, and they survived, right? And that's something that I'll never experience because my parents set me up for success in this country, and I never experienced any poverty like my father experienced. So, all those things really had a downstream effect on his life. But bringing that back to the book here, um, words can create positivity or destroy, right? That's what we're talking about. So, I use an example here. One day when my family was coming back from an extended road trip, it was a Sunday, and my dad would his mood would be on the decline on Sundays because he had to go back to work. And I mean, all of ours does that, right? Like nobody likes to go back to work on Monday. So sometimes he would lash out on us because he just didn't know how to channel that emotion. And at the same time, like a lot of immigrant parents, my father would hit us sometimes. Nothing over the top, right? Like no abuse or anything like that, but standard stuff. But I forget all those moments. I don't really remember that. But some of the things I do remember um, are some of the things he said when he was angry, right? And so going back to this example, when we're coming back from this road trip, my dad really was like, we got home and he probably was looking for a fight, right? So we got home and he must have saw that in my bathroom, I left the cap off the toothpaste, and he amongst a whole set of negative thoughts that he had, he pretty much said, he's like, Don't. This is my house, right? Act like a tenant here." And that I understand where he was coming from, and I understand that he was, a little upset. But that I was about 12 when he said that, and I'm 28 now, and I remember that whole interaction crystal clear, like it had just happened. And I think that goes to show. just how powerful words are, right? The feeling that I got when my dad said that was one of just I was surprised, right? I was taken aback that he would say something like that to me. But sometimes these things happen, right? And I understand where he's coming from. But like I said, your word can create positivity or destroy, right? And that is the power of it. So, going off that point, people can use their word to lie, cheat, find guilt, and destroy, right? We see so many people using their word to really deceive people, right? To paint a picture that is not exactly what it is. But let's bring it back. I like to bring it back to real life examples. So, another example of how word can really be positive or negative. We can see that in the office environment, right? So I'm in corporate America, and for those of you that aren't, it's very hard to describe, but there are some real characters in the workplace, and you'll see different types of people and the different ways they work. And this one particular coworker of mine who was actually terminated was that negative seed, right? So what she would do is if she had a negative interaction with someone, she would go to other people on the floor and plant that seed about that person. Oh, this person is this. Oh, this person is bad this way. And you really see some people will bite into that, right? Negativity feeds on negativity. Some people will enjoy that type of interaction with other people. Other people will deflect, and other people will just let it bounce off of them, right? But like I said, negativity attracts negativity, and some people can really use their word to destroy reputations of other people and things like that. And other people can really uplift. So that being said, I think being impeccable with your word really puts accountability on the individual to think before they speak. So words are our way of expressing what's in our hearts and minds, right? So, excuse me, one thing I really do nowadays, with my fiance and even with my relationships with my friends, um, I I'm not gonna say that I don't experience negative thoughts and emotions, right? I'd be lying to you guys if I said that. But one thing I do um, understand and a takeaway from this book and a couple other books I've read is that you don't want to ignore those feelings, but you want to let them channel themselves and manifest themselves in a mature manner, right? So if I'm feeling frustrated with my fiance or my friend group, my gut instinct now, and I have to really be conscious of it, is to say it or come home and just talk about it with my fiance. So if my fiance is irritating me, if she did something that really rubbed me the wrong way, I'll take a moment. If I'm frustrated, I'll feel that emotion. I'll tell myself, you're frustrated, you're angry, you're sad about this, and then I'll address it. I'll say, hey, I really didn't appreciate the way you did that. It frustrated me. And now I've put my emotions on the table in a mature way where I haven't reacted and I haven't lost that interaction because I was overbearing or I was abrasive. And now I can really just get to the heart and soul of what's bothering me, and then we can address it and move on. So I think that just goes to show that you know I would not want to lash out at the people I care about because I do love them and I could say something potentially harmful. And I think some people are better than others at saying harmful things and picking at those pain points. And I think I'm one of those people. I think I have a very roasty personality. And when I get mad, that can turn to something pretty ugly. So all I can do is be vigilant and be aware and constantly be present. So going on, right? We meet people every day, coworkers, like I talked about, friends, family, whose only bond is really speaking negatively about other people. And my fiance has a friend that really has that ability to do that, right? To spread that negativity. And sometimes after my fiance is conversing with this particular friend, she kind of has like a negative outlook, and I'm not really appreciative of that because we're very lucky in our lives, and we should really operate with positivity because positivity opens up so many doors for you, and I think it's really the only way to be. And so, um, and like I said, like we can hop off that example. Like let's even go to like my mom and some of her friends, right? Some of these Indian aunties that all they do is call each other and they gossip. right? And my mom's a great lady and she doesn't really partake in that as much, but sometimes she does, right? So, hearing that on the phone is very frustrating because all they're doing is talking down about other people, and I don't think that's really worth anyone's time, right? What does it do to improve anyone's situation? It only brings people further into that negative hole. Um, so I think one thing to really go forward, as we solutionize and provide solutions to life and go through with enhancing our maturity and whatnot, I think removing complaints and bashing with solutions is important. How can I improve my life through my word? How can I improve others' lives through being forthright with my word? Right? It's a brand, right? I'm a marketing guy. So, one of my brands that I'm trying to build is honesty, right? I want people to know that when they come to me, they're gonna get it straight, right? They're gonna get what's on my mind, and he's not gonna care about it, right? I'm just gonna express what is on my mind in a positive way. Also, you know, we see I'm in a client-facing role at work, and the words that I use, the word choice, the types of pauses I take, can really make or break that engagement, right? Two people could be saying the exact same thing and attempting to get the same message across, but the way that they do that, the way they manifest what is in their mind, their choice of words, their tone, can really impact a situation. So being impeccable with your word really allows you to shield yourself from negativity. So you can only receive negativity if your mind allows those types of thoughts to cultivate, right? And this is a really good transitioning point, but essentially, um, if I allow myself to receive negativity, I definitely will. But one thing I can do, and one thing I really appreciate about my brother and my sister-in-law's relationship with me and my fiance, is that it is exactly that, right? So I'm not going to sit here and say that we don't, sit down and vent and things like that, but we address it and we say positive things like, okay, this happened, but all in all, these people are great. Mom and dad did this, but they've been really getting better, and that I think is very important. So that's one thing I try to do in all interactions, right? Is just one thing that I've read is that um, you know removing judgment is not disregarding imperfection or negative things when you see them. It's more of not reacting to them, right? So I think that's one thing that is constantly something that we can work on, right? Is if me and my fiance go on, let's say a double date for example, right? And we obviously come home and we do that post mortem, how to go, things like that. Um, we obviously going to say things that we liked and disliked about the interaction, right? But we always make sure that the good outweighs the bad, right? We always say that, okay, those things happened. It was interesting that happened, but all in all, they're good people. All in all, we had a good interaction. I'm glad I associated with those people. Or I use that as a learning experience, and I'm glad I was able to gain that experience in my life, and I'll adjust going forward. So always being conscious, always being present in the moment, and really having full control of your actions and your emotions is something that is a constant in progress or work in progress type situation. I'll get off this in a second, but essentially, I for a long time really spent time, elevating my physical appearance, right? Going to the gym, making those gains, things like that. But I realize there's a whole nother world when you step into that mental gym, if you will, right? Making those mental gains, emotional intelligence, self-observation, self-reflection, and that is a whole nother world that same in a similar manner of being consistent at the gym, you have to do the same things with your mental. You have to be consistent with those positive thoughts and those positive interactions and that self-observation and channeling your emotions to really reap the rewards of the discipline that it takes to do that. And like I said, I'm no guru on it. I'm just starting. So, but I think it's a whole new world for me. It's very interesting. But anyway, so one thing I'll say here is that you can live in the middle of thousands of people living in hell because you are immune to that hell, right? So if you become impeccable with your word. You'll see that you really have no relatability to people who are expressing negative thoughts, and you'll just be on a different wavelength. And then your eyes will be open to a whole new world. So you can live in heaven in the middle of thousands of people living in hell because you're immune to that hell. So I'll let that resonate. But I hope you guys liked this first podcast that I put out. I'll be putting out some more coming up. But I hope you guys enjoy and remember, only positivity. Thanks.